that on our radar, but let's quickly switch over to global news and of course the news of the moment. The Federal Reserve at their most recent meeting indicated that there are signs inflation is actually coming off, but not enough to counter the need for more interest rate increases, according to the meeting minutes, of course. While the January or rather 31st to 1st Feb meeting concluded with a smaller rate hike than most of those implemented since early 2022, officials stressed that their concern over inflation is high. Inflation remained well above the Fed's 2% target. It's at around 6.4, and that's what really the minutes summarized.
And we'll stick to the US markets. Nvidia's stock rose more than 8% in extended trading after the company reported slightly higher revenues and net income than Wall Street estimated. Now, data center revenue increased 11% on an annual basis. The company said the growth was because US cloud service providers bought more products. Nvidia's CEO said that AI is at an inflection point, pushing businesses of sizes to buy Nvidia's chip to develop machine learning software.
Well, let's stick with companies. Wells Fargo laid off hundreds of mortgage bankers this week as part of a sweeping round of cuts triggered by the bank's recent strategic shift. The layoffs included some top producers, including a few bankers who surpassed the $100 million in loan volumes mark last year. Some of the bankers who lost their jobs recently attended an internal sales conference for high achievers as well.
And the stare down between Russia and US is intensifying even as the war rages on in Ukraine and is now completing 1 year. US President Joe Biden, during his visit to Poland, went on to hail the efforts of NATO member countries, calling their commitment rock solid. Vowing that NATO was more united than ever, Biden has pledged the United States and its allies would have Ukraine's back as the war enters its second year. The fresh war of words come after Putin cautioned the United States of stoking the war and turning it into a global conflict. Let's listen in to what Joe Biden had to say.
This war is never a necessity. It's a tragedy. President Putin chose this war. Every day the war continues is his choice. He could end the war with a word. It's simple. If Russia stopped invading Ukraine, it would end the war. If Ukraine stopped defending itself against Russia, it would be the end of Ukraine. He didn't get the finalization of NATO. Instead, he got the NATOization of Finland and Sweden. He thought NATO would fracture and divide. Instead, NATO is more united and more unified than ever before.
Well, that was, of course, on the geopolitical side. We'll quickly move on. Bill Gates has bought around 3.8% stake in Dutch drinks giant Heineken. Although the billionaire founder of Microsoft has previously said he was not a big beer drinker. The filing by the Netherlands Financial Markets Authority said the shares were purchased on the 17th of February. Gates purchased the shares from Mexico's FEMSA, which is selling out of the brewing company.
And Pakistan is grappling with its worst economic crisis and seems like China is offering a helping hand. As per reports, Pakistan Finance Minister Ishaq Dar has announced that China has offered a $700 million loan to Pakistan. The finance minister said, and I quote, "Formalities have been completed and the Board of China Development Bank has approved the facility of $700 million for Pakistan, and the amount is expected to be received by the State Bank of Pakistan very soon."
Right, with that we'll slip into a very short break. More on the